Hello fellow YouTubers, and today we're discussing which generation has the best bad guy leader. Now the scores from last week are on the screen. The X by Generation 5 means that it can't physically win at this point. Still, it can take second place theoretically, so don't think that means it's in last place. Also, before I get started, I know I said that Legendaries would be this week, but I changed it up so the timing of these episodes would match the Nuzlocke. For example, the next part of the Nuzlocke, I battled Giovanni, who is the leader of the bad guys in Generation 1. So, let's jump right in. For obvious reason, Gen 2 jumps all the way to the bottom. Why, you might ask? Who is the bad guy leader in Gen 2? Even Bulbapedia doesn't offer any help. It's crazy. I always felt like someone was the boss, but no one knows. They just left because you made all their Pokemon faint. So that sucks for the leader before this week. And once again, Gen 6 is in the basement. I didn't like Lysandre, or however you pronounce it. I'm sorry if that's your name and you're watching this, but I have no earthly idea. He was pretty much the stereotypical bad guy. His character was bland, and I felt like I'd seen him before. Him being revealed as the bad guy was really anticlimactic. Being as he was obviously the bad guy, I mean, if you read what he says, but also the fact that you meet him in a red cafe after you've met I think it's before you meet the bad guys, who wear all red, and you meet him in a red cafe. I mean, it's not even like one of those things like, oh, in hindsight, it's one of those things like, duh. I wish he was more interesting, but really, he serves nothing new to the table. And as I've mentioned before during the series, when you're at Thanksgiving, you really don't need two hams. Next step up is obviously Maxie and Archie. They talk like the stereotypical villain, but they realize the error of their way, which at least makes their characters more appealing. Of course, they are beyond stupid.
Let's flood the earth.
Let's get rid of the water.
Who came up with that idea? They're the most easily child-accessible bad guy leader in any game, and of course they flip-flop so hard, which it does help them, but it also hurts them, so maybe next week will be better for Gen 3, or it's going to be facing elimination. Number 3 is Giovanni. Again, he's pretty boring, but he also has a huge reveal as the 8th gym leader. Then add on to that, he might be a good guy. And I think I mentioned that. I think this is the third time I've mentioned that. But, you know, and bad guys who are actually good guys are always the coolest bad guys. It's like Amnesia, where the line between good and bad is so blurred, you'd think it was a Robin Thicke song. And that is like a year-and-a-half-old reference. So, yeah. And this is where it gets insanely difficult. Basically, the first 3 were all crap, really. Then Giovanni warranted his spot. He's not crap, but he's not really that good. So I have left Cyrus and Ghetsis. And I lean towards Ghetsis in this spot. He actually makes sense. They're the new slaves, as Kanye would say. And again, it's another year-old reference. Shoot me. And it makes sense. As you play the game, you actually debate if he's right. Not to mention him prepping and to be this monster. He did that like his entire life. Plus, he built a base under the Elite Four, so Ghetsis really is quite a badass. And, of course, that only leaves Cyrus. He wins it all this week for Gen 4. He has quite an elaborate plan that he sets up, and really all that I need to say is he leaves himself in the distortion world, which means he, in essence, kills himself at the end of the game. Why? Because he's that committed. Anyway, being as we're close to the end, I'm going to start breaking down the results, really. The new scores will be on the screen, and being as there's only 3 weeks left for the series, and you can only go up 5 points theoretically in 1 week, you can only pull up 15 points towards first. Being as first place has 44 points, that means Gen 5 and 6 are now out of it. That means they can't be number 1. But Gen 3 is hanging on by a thread. I guess by the numbers, Gen 3 can tie first place. Things are also looking bad for Gen 1, being as it's down by 8 points now. It'd take 2 weeks to knock Gen 4 out. Things are finally shaping up to the finale, and it's looking really good for Gen 4. Well, great. Actually, the last 5 weeks, Gen 4 has won or come in second place. That's 5 weeks. That's half the series so far. Next week's topic is Legendaries. It will be, I promise. Being as in the Nuzlocke, we'll be catching the Legendary birds, so I really shouldn't move it around. So, anyway, if you enjoyed the video, leave me a like, comment telling me how the leaders rank in your opinion, and of course, peace out, home skillets.